Welcome everybody. We've got a practice ahead of us as we usually do once a week. And for today's practice, you might actually like to use a block and a strap. And I know a strap is often challenging to have. So adventure into your wardrobe for shawls, belts, or even a longer towel. And the block, I think most of you have handy, but if ever not, you can use anything else that you could put a certain amount of weight on, as we mainly use it perhaps for sitting support today. So once you've done all of this and prepared yourselves, please start lying down on the backs and getting reasonably comfortable there. You might begin today's practice with your knees bent. That could mean that your feet are hip distance. It could mean that your feet are wider apart and perhaps your knees are rolling in so they're gently holding up against each other. Initially, my intention for this week was to work with compassion. But then I decided to go a tad bit deeper and instead work a little bit more with our true purpose in life, our soul's purpose perhaps, or the higher selves, whatever you might be believing in. Something like our core essence that lies within us. So within that, everything is readily available to lead a life of fulfillment. Yet our mind gives us a lot of trouble of getting there. So while we might spend a little bit of time looking into the different components of why and how we might get there, I will mention a few thoughts in the relaxation at the end. Perhaps noticing how this sits with you in general, whether it looks like a vast concept that you can't quite grasp, and that's fine too, or whether you've worked with your most inner purpose before and are reasonably aware of it. You might enjoy now to deepen your breath. And as you deepen your breathing, I will share with you what today's card also reveals. Your true self calls you from within with an ideal and vision about who you really are and all you can be. Make it your aim to follow this inner voice and implement its guidance and inspiration wherever it leads you. To get there potentially, we are working with truth, courage, love, self-control, and fortitude. And as you might gather, some of these qualities can also be applied to the physical practice on the mat. And this practice too can guide us to a deeper awareness to reach our fulfilled life. Now, as you keep your breath flowing, take your feet down to about hip distance apart now. Let your arms lengthen along the sides of the body and touch the palms of the hands down towards the floor. As your arms are actively extended, your fingers gently reaching down towards the toes, raising your feet off the floor and letting your knees just loosely hover above your chest. You might point and flex your feet a few times. Then keep the feet in a flexion. And as you breathe in, carefully moving your heels towards the mat. Perhaps they briefly touch. And on the out breath, drawing your knees up towards your chest. Keeping your arms grounded at the time as you breathe in to lower the heels towards or very gently onto the mat. And on the out breath, drawing your knees back up towards the chest. Keep that flowing for a little while. So we're working with strength as we're aiming the heels towards the floor and that lovely tuck of the knees towards the chest on the out breath. Repeating that for a few more rounds. Just doing that, tapping heels towards the floor as you breathe in and lifting the knees up to the chest as you're breathing out. Now, next time, landing your feet softly onto the mat. As your feet have landed, keeping your deeper breath flowing, start to breathe down into the backs of your lower ribs. And begin to feel them spreading out onto the floor behind you. So we're breathing into the backs of the lower ribs. And you might acknowledge that they're touching the floor as your breath comes in. Now, keeping that touch of the ribs towards the ground as you raise your feet again. The movement here will be common to you. While we're breathing in, your legs might extend to the ceiling. Your arms could reach up over the head, your lower ribs on the ground. With the out breath, hugging the knees towards the chest, the arms along the sides of the body. A breath in to extend the legs to the ceiling, the arms over the head, and as the arms reach there, the lower ribs stay on the floor. Then release your arms to the mat and on the out breath, draw the knees back actively towards your chest. So the inhalation is arms over the head to the floor, legs to the ceiling, lower ribs to the ground. And the out breath is arms by the sides, the knees drawing actively towards the chest. Repeat that in the pace of your own breath. Aware here of the lower ribs against the mat, maintaining that to deepen the strength within your core center. Repeat the same movement for 3 more breaths. And when completed, taking 1 more in-breath, but this time to reach arms and legs up to a hold. Before releasing the arms out to either side, with a good distance away from your body and the palms of your hands touching the floor. Your legs might stay extended. You could even point out through your toes. Now pressing down into the palms of your hands and pretend you can draw them towards your body while you're lifting your upper body and look down towards your navel. On the in-breath then, lie back down, relaxing legs and back. Out breath, pull the arms in, lifting the head, the shoulders, if available, looking to the navel. Breathing in, relax the body. Out breath, pulling, lifting, inhaling, lower again. Repeating again, 3 more times. Once you have completed, leave your legs up there. Arms can stay as they are, and you might still use them to actively ground through the palms, the shoulders. And while you're breathing in now, moving your extended legs away from the body. They don't have to go anywhere near the floor, but if they do, they could slightly hover above. And with the out breath, lifting the legs again. So the inhalation to move them away, and careful here, lower ribs stay on the floor. And with the out breath, drawing your legs back up towards you. So it's the in breath where you expand the lower ribs to the mat and move the legs away from you. And on the out breath, lifting the legs back up. Keep grounding through your arms, the lower ribs, and then lifting back up on your out breath. Again, repeat for 3 more breaths. And then soften the knees in towards your chest, loosely landing your feet onto the ground, opening the palms of the hands towards the ceiling and leaving the shoulders on the floor. And then letting your knees very gently sway from side to side. Allow that to be gentle, so you're creating a bit of a rocking action across your pelvis. And you might then increase that range of movement gradually as you approach a deeper twist. If your neck is feeling okay today, you might start rolling your head for a little while too. And then returning into the center and taking your strap or replacement thereof into your hands. Lifting your right leg up and bringing the strap around the ball of the right foot. Sliding your hands down either side of the strap and comfortably snuggling shoulders, upper arms, and elbows to the ground. I like to wrap my hands around the strap so I don't have to grip too hard. As the strap is around the ball of the foot, drawing your leg gently up towards your body. You can keep your left foot on the floor, or you might prefer to extend your leg out long. If you're extending, please flex the foot on the left leg too. And then let's all encourage the right side of the pelvis a little bit down towards the other foot, so that the pelvis reaches the state of balance. And then draw the straight leg further in if that feels right. Use your breath. Each out breath, you might have a gentle pull on the strap, but always lightly counteracting it to keep your pelvis very balanced. As you might then release the pull on the strap, keep your posture, but release the strap and take it only into your right hand. Place your left hand onto your hip and start to open the leg out, and my range here is limited by the door, but your leg might come out further. If you enjoy the support, slide your upper arm and elbow back to the floor to hold the leg, and feel into your left hand so your pelvis, buttocks stays grounded. Then guide your leg back up into center. Change the hand on the strap, and you might on this side open your right arm out to the side before you could start to bring the leg across the body. And the same might occur here. Upper arm could rest down as you guide the leg across. The straight leg doesn't feel right, You could always bend the knee as you're coming across the body. There's no particular outcome needed. We're sticking to this moment and how it feels for us right now. Then guiding your leg back up. You can choose to use the strap to lower, or you could choose to release the strap and either lower the straight leg down or bend the knee and place the foot down. But both happens with awareness as you bring your left foot up into the air and take the strap again around the ball of the foot, letting the hands slide down on either side of the strap until shoulders, upper arms, and elbows touch the floor. Then perhaps wrapping your hands around the strap again. And as you arrive here, feel the shoulders on the ground, and on an out breath, start to draw the leg a bit up towards your body. Your option then is to leave your right foot on the floor or extend the right leg out long. And same as on the other side, you might flex the foot. Beginning to draw now the left side of the pelvis back in line with the right or towards the foot on the extended side. And from there, big breath out as you draw the leg closer. As we keep a hold here, there might be a light vibration happening in this leg anyway. And you encourage the left side of the pelvis to stay aligned with the right while you hold and potentially bring the leg closer. Then release the pull on the strap. Extend your left arm to take a hold of both ends of the strap by placing your right hand onto the hip and starting an inhalation as you open your leg out to the side. I've already landed my upper arm and elbow to sit. And now to keep both sides of the buttocks on the floor, maybe there's a good feeling of checking in with the right hand, not moving in any direction. Lifting or guiding your leg back up and changing the hand on the strap, as you could choose to open your left arm to the side and on an out breath begin to guide the leg across the body. Doesn't feel right to keep it straight or a door is in the way, you might bend the knees as you bring your leg across the body, keeping the shoulder grounded here and taking a couple of breaths. Now bringing your leg back to center, and the same option, you could use the strap to lower the leg, or you could choose to release the strap for now. Even bend the knee as you land your foot onto the ground, releasing your arms again by the sides of the body, while both feet might land on the floor. You could simply roll over now to your most favorite side, and then guiding yourself up towards a seat. In your sitting position, you might choose to take a block underneath you, and you can literally sit any way that you enjoy sitting in. Either like me, Virashasana, or perhaps easy pose, maybe legs are extended, or even your feet on the floor. And as you come to sit, let your hands rest easily into your lap. You might even allow the palms of the hands to look upwards. Some of you might touch the index and thumbs together. Let your tailbone drop a little bit down so you feel more centered in your seat. Reach up from the top of the head, lower your gaze or close the eyes. We will take a few rounds of the Brahmari breath, the bee breath or the humming bee breath. A technique where you breathe in gently but fully and then hum the breath out, only to the point where you can still breathe in comfortably rather than gasping for air. I will count and will let you know when we are complete. So let's begin together and then keep the humming rolling as you breathe in deeply with me. Last breath, then relaxing the technique and observing yourself. Brahmari, perhaps a good way to focus on that lies within the vibrations of the humming guide you inwards. Depending on your seat, we'll take a breath in together. And as you breathe out, placing your hands down and joining me in the transition to come into a standing posture. We might begin in a standing pose closer towards the front side end of the mat, aligning our feet in a hip distance, the arms along the sides of the body, and basically just standing tall and proud. As you might draw your inner heels towards each other, you could choose to lower the gaze or close your eyes, and generally finding your inner focus. On a breath in, then the arms might reach up and you could lift your gaze here too. And soften your knees, and a breath out to fold forward and down. On the breath in, your hands might come up as you lengthen the spine forward, half lift position. On the out breath now, stepping the right foot down the mat. As you land here, come up onto your fingertips. Draw the left hip ever so gently back, aligning it with the right, similar to what we've done lying down, and then perhaps lifting your belly away from the thighs, and you might lengthen your arms along the side of the body, the palms facing down. There's a sensation as if you're pushing off the back foot. Keep your shoulder blades a little bit closer and reach with your fingertips back towards the heels. You might even experiment here and try to close your eyes as you aim for balance. Inhale. On the exhale, releasing your hands down onto the ground, your knee down onto the mat, and then stepping the second knee back as you land in a kneeling plank position. Elbows might rest by the sides, and the elbows begin to lower down towards the mat. We'll keep it with the general cobra, the tops of the feet into the ground, as you might lift your head and chest, keeping elbows by your side. Out breath to release down towards the floor. On the in breath, start to lift up. You might tuck your toes under and reach your hips up and back for a puppy shape. Or you might lift your knees off the floor and take a downward facing dog. Start to move the posture and start to bring the feet or the knees forward towards the front side end of the mat, surrendering here to a standing forward bend. And on your out breath, starting to uncurl the spine back towards standing. Raising the arms up on a breath in, and maybe the gaze comes up too. Then release your arms back along the sides of the body. Palms might look forward. Your inner heels reactivate towards each other, finding that tall stand, steadiness in your gaze. The in-breath to lift the arms again. Gaze might rise. Bend the knees, draw the hands down the midline. Your out-breath to a forward fold. On the inhale, your fingertips might come up for a half lift. On the exhale, now stepping the left foot down the mat. You might then lift your belly away from the thigh and lengthen your arms along the sides of the body. Palms are facing down. And as you rise, draw the front hip, right side a little bit back. Find your alignment. Keep the arms active, the neck long, the back leg long. And that sensation is if you're pushing off the back, the foot a little bit. Then there's the option to close your eyes and be playful with the balance. Breath in. And on the breath out, releasing your hands back down. Knee is optional as you step back to your choice of a plank position. Elbows remain by your side, and on the out breath, lowering back down onto the mat. Touching the tops of the feet firmly down as you lift your head and chest. Bhujangasana, Cobra variation. Out breath to release the forehead to the mat. And inhale as you rise onto your hands and knees, and you can choose the same here, toes tucked under, hips reaching up and back, a puppy shape, or the knees off the floor and making it a downward facing dog. Once again, take a walk as your feet come forward to the space between the hands. And then a long exhalation to uncurl the spine, rising up. A breath in as your arms might re-extend. And a breath out to release the arms along the sides of the body. You might place your hands here upon your hips. And then step your right foot back, but out to the side. Landing with the front knee in a bend in a warrior one position. Your feet might start to draw inwards if you feel your hip positioning hasn't changed. You could then bring the hands to touch in front of your heart. You might also extend the arms and perhaps your gaze upwards. As you find warrior one, the heart might be lifting. Drawing your feet inwards will stabilize, not only in the legs, but also in your lower back. And as you take your next inhalation now, straightening the front leg. On your out breath, circle your arms behind your back, and you can choose to take a hold of wrist, elbows, or a reverse prayer behind the back. And as you do, draw the shoulder blades a bit closer and lift your heart on the inhale. There's pressure already in the ball of the front foot to keep the pelvis at balance, while you might begin to fold forward. Your shoulder blades rather close, the elbows moving back behind as you fold towards your front leg. A sensation as if you're pushing away with the ball of the front foot might give you that sensation of the balance of the pelvis, as potentially you feel that in your back, leaning either way or feeling reasonably straight. Allowing 2 more breaths here. Then releasing your hands, bending the front knee, taking a deep breath in to reach the arms back up. Warrior 1. And on the out breath, release the arms and step your feet back to mountain form. Your hands might come back to hold onto your hips before stepping the left foot back and a little bit out to the side. As we land in a hip distance, bending the front knee again. Feel that the pelvis is seemingly still the same underneath your hands. Then begin to draw your feet inward. Options of the arms. A breath in to reach the arms up. You can always rest the arms down if you need to, but while you're lifting, you might also lift your gaze. But your feet are still active and slightly moving in toward each other. With your next in-breath, again, extending into the front leg. And on the out breath, as you circle your arms behind the back, if you're holding onto the wrist, take the other. If you're holding onto the elbow, bring the other arm on top. Your reverse prayer, however, doesn't change. As you push down into the ball of the front foot, lifting heart and gaze, bringing shoulder blades closer, and keep that pressure down against the floor while you fold forward. Do so slowly, keeping your spine aligned. The support in the ball of the front foot, as your nose slowly lowers towards the knee. Even when you get there, keep your shoulder blades reasonably close. Push your way into the foot and hold the balance in your back. In the next in-breath, begin to bend the front knee, release your arms, perhaps lifting them straight back up for your warrior 1. Then releasing the arms and stepping your feet back together as you activate the inner heels toward each other again. Your arms reasonably loose, the palms forward, the crown of the head is tall. You might have your steady gazing point or close your eyes again. Can you direct your breath right now into the back of your lower ribs? As you might remember, our first movements there on the floor, we were trying to ground ourselves into the back. You might then blink your eyes open, and if you would like to work with the strap, please grab it. If you prefer to work without, there is options to do so, as you might recognize the posture anyway. So lengthening the strap out if you are working with it, and stepping onto it with the ball of the right foot. The left leg is firmly grounded, the strap is in attention, and we're leaning towards the left foot, beginning with an in-breath to draw the knee up. Now, the first thing that often happens is the hip rising. Can you lower it, given that we're holding on to the leg? Then perhaps extending the leg forward. Keep your shoulders easy, snuggle your elbows into the sides of the body, hold the tension loose rather than pulling too harsh. As you soften into your upper body, the hips are staying aligned. Next option, only taking the strap into your left hand. The right arm, other side, into the right hand. Your left arm might extend out. And you could choose to open your leg to the side. If you can lift out of your standing leg quite actively as you do. Then guiding the leg forward and taking the strap into the other hand. Hold it forward and start to twist towards this leg, perhaps extending the right arm backwards. Now bending your knee again and stepping the foot to the ground as you land. Strap in your hand, feet feeling quite unbalanced. Let's change the imbalance and lengthen the strap back out, stepping on with the ball of the left foot. Then lengthen the strap down, then upright. Lean weight towards the right foot now. And on the inhale, starting to raise a bent knee into the air. I'm holding on firmly, but keeping my elbows snug. And again, trying to align the pelvis. So you're feeling underneath your arm that pelvis is quite in balance. Staying here or extending the leg out the front. The same here, rather drawing inwards than pulling your arms up will have an effect on how the back is positioned. As you hold the pelvis in balance, you could stay here or take the strap all the way into your left hand and perhaps extending the right arm out. From there, could you take the breath in and open your leg to the side? And if you did, we're often sinking into the hip, rise up. And then perhaps guiding your leg back to the front and changing the hand on the strap. Holding your leg forward, but you might take the breath in to twist towards the leg, and perhaps your left arm is extending backwards. On the breath in, bend the front knee. As you release the foot down, relax the strap back by the side of the mat. Turn the hands forward again. Stand on both feet. Lower your gaze or close your eyes. Inner heels might activate as you stand. And take your breath back into the lower ribs behind your back. We're often expanding into the front of the body. We're deliberately expanding into the back body today. Almost like you have your own back supporting you to find your inner purpose. On your next inhalation, reaching the arms back up towards the ceiling. On the out breath, soften your knees, let the hands come down the midline and fold back down and forward. On the inhale, could you extend the spine for a half lift? And for the out breath, stepping the hands down and stepping the knees down. Keeping your knees at about hip distance apart. Feet can be flat or toes tucked under. And I'd encourage you to extend the arms forward, keeping hips right over the hips as you lower down. The forehead might come to the floor, you might rest it somewhere else. And if it's doable, keep those hips over the knees as you lower your chest towards the ground for a few breaths. This is a back bend. If it is too strong, work with the lengthening of the spine instead. If you can, let your heart sink towards the floor. the aspect of love is that we're targeting here for ourselves, for others in Anahatasana. On your next out breath, sliding your arms back, perhaps untucking the toes, sinking towards a softly extended child's pose. On your out breath, then start to uncurl the spine, begin to lift the buttocks away from the heels, lift your shoulders up as you stand on your knees, shrug them back and place the hands down towards your lower back, fingertips are pointing down, you're starting to squeeze the shoulder blades, the elbows. The tops of the feet might press into the ground as you lower your tailbone and begin to lift from your heart. Option to stay right here or bringing the chin forward and guiding the head back. Rather than leaning into the lower back, keep your tailbone reaching actively to the floor. And if you like, you can release the fingertips from your lower back and reach them towards your heels. Some might even touch there. Others might just keep the reach like myself. Ustrasana, camel. Breath in as you begin to bend the hips. Breath out to release the hands towards the floor. Swing your feet over towards the side and come into a seated position. Legs might extend out long at the front. You could walk out through your sitting bones, or you might grab your blanket and pop that underneath as a support. Don't have a blanket, you could use the rolled up end of your mat instead. As we've worked with one leg extended, we will keep doing so. So you might start by bending your right knee and letting that roll open. If the sole of the foot touches right up in the leg, great. Otherwise, bring it a little bit lower. Same effect. Fingertips might be down as you could draw the straight leg lightly in. Perhaps bend the knee and flex the foot. If you're a fan of the straps, take that around. If you're not, come with me as you breathe in and then start to approach the thigh with your belly and let the hands slide forward as you slowly come into Janu Asana, head to knee pose. You can, once you've approached the shape and your back feels good, extend your left leg further. It's almost the same with all these leg extensions from just one side. Mind yourself that the pelvis stays reasonably balanced when you're folding over the leg, rather than pushing one hip forward, one hip back. Leave shoulders easy. And just a few more breaths here. With the next inhalation, then lengthening your spine forward with your out breath rising up to sit again, guiding your knee up and extending the leg back out. We will change sides. Now left knee might bend and the same here, foot to upper inner thigh or somewhere against the inside of your leg. As the knee drops out, come to your fingertips and draw the straight leg a little bit back. Then bend the knee and flex the foot as you rise up tall in your spine, a deep breath in. And on the out breath, we approach again the thigh with our belly. Then the hands might adjust and then your upper body might lower completely. Keeping the flexion in the foot on your extended legs and perhaps sliding the foot a bit further out if that suits the rest of your body. Same on this side. Keep the pelvis rather balanced as you spend a few breaths here. On the next breath in, lengthen your spine forward. On the breath out, join back into a seated pose. Lifting the knee up from your side while extending both legs out in front, coming off your sitting support and preparing yourself to come and lie down on the floor. We won't need anything on the floor today, but our body and measures of comfort as you lie down. So you could just simply roll down onto your back, support yourself with the arms if you prefer, and once you're lying down, landing your feet onto the ground. Bringing the right knee towards the chest and if anyhow possible, extending the left leg out long. Opposite hand to your knee, your right arm might softly fall away from the body. And on an out breath, guiding your knee across the body for a twist. See if you can keep your shoulders grounded and now found the use for the block. If you have it anywhere near and the knee doesn't quite touch the floor, you might support it with a block. You could also choose to bend your lower leg and perhaps even taking a hold of the foot. Your gaze might be upwards, or you could look over towards your right. Head tail position if you're holding on to the foot. Inhaling as you might release the foot, the head, and slowly rolling onto your back. If you've been using the prop, take it over to the other side. Stepping both feet back down, realigning your back so to come into comfort. Then drawing your left knee to the chest, and again, if anyhow possible, the right leg might extend out long. So take the opposite hand to the knee. The left arm now gently falls away, and on the out breath, guiding this knee across your body. The same here, we're trying to keep the shoulder grounded. If you like to support the knee, you could. Your hand might stay on it as well. And you could also decide to bend your lower leg, and if it is within reach, catching the foot with the left hand. Perhaps your gaze rolls over towards that side too. Staying and experiencing. What do you notice? As you might let go of your back foot, the knee, the head comes to the center, and then your body rolls into the center. You might step the feet back down so you can realign your spine. Shuffling yourself onto your back, and take a deep, slow inhalation and exhalation from your nostrils. Acknowledge if there's anything else that you might need to do. And if there isn't, getting yourself either into constructive rest with the feet wide and the knees falling in, or into Shavasana where you could have supportive cushioning underneath the knees, or extend the legs out onto the mat, letting your toes fall out. If it is possible for you, leave the arms out to either side, even snuggle your shoulder blades slightly under, and turn the palms of your hands to face upwards. As you land in your Shavasana or resting pose, taking a few deeper breaths to begin with, and letting your breath once more expand into the back of your lower ribs. While you are extending the breath into the back, fully aware of the breath still moving in and out of the nostrils, but perhaps a sense of deeper grounding. Then allow your breath to soften again. Aware of your body as it lies on the floor. Aware of the breath that flows through the nostrils. And that might be all that you focus upon, the breath as it flows. You could also choose to listen to a few more words in relation to us finding that fulfillment. It says in the Bhagavad Gita, those trapped in avidya, translating to ignorance, do things they should refrain from, and do not do the things they should do that would help them. They stray away from truth and proper conduct. Avidya, or ignorance, is often seen as the root cause from which all our other afflictions of the mind originate from. Perhaps to find that guidance inwards, we might look at the truth, our most inner truth that we might be aiming for to still find, but also the active truth such as Satya that we speak and believe in wholeheartedly. Then there's courage that we need to actually do anything in this life. We might not always feel courageous, but when we raise awareness, perhaps we can decide to be that. And then there's love. That rules our inner world. Love might be our ultimate goal in life. That love for the universe. Then there is self-control. But Yaya comes to mind, self-study, to control our thoughts, to control our own actions. We need to learn about ourselves and recognize when that is needed. Then there's fortitude, which is the mental strength we need to face the inevitable challenges and difficulties in our lives. Living by these 5 values might help align our actions with the will of our soul and will provide a solid foundation to support a well or fully lived life. These virtues are difficult to live up to, absolutely no doubt. But the more you embody these, the more your life will flower. Allowing yourselves to be in the observation of self, to learn, To feel safe where you are might help your courage. The courage that you might need to find this truth that lies within and eventually propel you to live your fullest life. Perhaps for a little while you can focus again on your breath. Let that come and go from heart center. Let the corners of your mouth ever so slightly rise, initiating a soft smile on your lips. Perhaps have a glimpse within yourself how you envision your fullest life make you feel. Perhaps that increases the smile on your face. You could then start to deepen your breath. Feel the breath again moving against your mat and expanding your lungs. Whenever you feel ready, you might choose to move lightly or stretch. And you could then roll over the front or the side of the body and might join me, as we often do, with hands touching in front of the heart space. The thumbs might lightly attach to the sternum here. Your shoulders easy, the back is tall, your eye gaze low or the eyes are closed. Lifting your heart up towards your hands and a light and humble bow with the head towards your heart. Put your gentle smile back on and reconnect to our higher self fully. There is joy. There might be all that you seek right within. As we are all in this space at the same time, we bow to extend toward each other. Namaste.